Assistant Sports Information Director Greg Tadish. We're gearing up for the 2023-24 men's soccer season. UHSP head coach Dan Hogan in his third season, getting ready to start that. Great to have you. I appreciate it.
Good to see you, Greg. Thanks for having me over.
How excited are you for the new season?
Really excited. Really excited. It's funny that this is my third season, but I just completed my second year of employment here. So things have really come quick for me, but I feel now that we're finally settling down and getting a little bit more of a foothold on things.
I know 4 wins in year one, 1-12 last year. The record doesn't show it, but did you feel even more comfortable in year two?
Yeah, when a new coach comes in, he wants to bring his style in, but he also has to fit the pool of players that he's working with. So the first 2 years, we've kind of tried to mesh the two together, my style with the level and the background of the current players. But now I think we hit a large recruiting class, and that now we're able to get more players playing the way I would like them to play.
I'm glad you mentioned your style. I wanted to ask you about your style because you're a real mild-mannered guy off the field with an ability to kind of get really engaged and energetic at times.
Yeah.
Very humble. How are you on the actual field when the game's going on? Because there's times after games and it hasn't gone well, and I'll see you up in the press box, and you're not as downtrodden as I thought maybe you would have taken that loss, so to speak. What is your style?
I think personally, if I was Dan Hogan right now, if I was Dan Hogan at age 25 or 30, you'd see a different Dan Hogan. Now this is my 34th year, and I've been able to decide what's really important and what's not important. And right now, especially with this program, it's getting better every day. It's improving each game. And sometimes that doesn't get you the result that you want. But if you see that the guys are trying to play the way we do in practice and play my style, sometimes that's all you can do as a coach.
It's interesting. You've mentioned in two public events, one being your Hall of Fame induction, the other being the all-student athletic banquet at the end of last year, how different this place is to be than maybe other stops you've been at because of the academic rigors and the demands on kids and their commitment to their studies. Yet you're trying to coach a soccer team and trying to win games.
Yeah.
So in that spirit of what's important, it's tough to ask how important is winning because you're here to win. That's what you want to do. But do you have to temper that a little bit, knowing what these kids are focused on elsewhere too? How do you measure that?
Well, see, I think when I first started, it was such an academic first environment, and we didn't miss practice for class, or we didn't miss classes for any soccer activity at all. And the guys, they talk about school at practice, and I think I was overwhelmed by the amount of academic focus that the soccer team had and all of our athletes. But at the end of the day, they're competitive people because they are at a competitive academic institution. That means they're competitive in everything that they do. And they are competitive in soccer. And we have to find a guy who is really, focused academically, but wants to win soccer games. And we're starting to find those guys right now.
Let's talk about this year's team. I know one of the big discussions that you and I had after last year was, man, we're probably going to lose a goaltender in Alec Johnson, who was really, really good, and we got to find one. Where do you stand right now with who's going to man the pipes in net? How's he looking?
We have one, Jack Wolf. He's our lone goalkeeper, and we'd like three. But I tell you what, to find a goalkeeper who's interested in the health sciences, it's really tough because everybody's looking for goalkeepers. Everybody's looking for pitchers, everybody's looking for catchers, and it's a specialized position. And that player also has to be interested in the health sciences. Mm-hmm. Jack's good. He has all the fundamental skills. He's just a freshman, and he's going to grow and he's going to improve. And, this morning at practice, we had a collision with him, and I had to remind my guys, we only have one goalkeeper, leaving him alone. But no, it's all my guys are good guys, and they like to practice, and they like each other, and the team spirit's really good, and our practices have been great so far.
Talking with third year Eutectic head soccer coach Dan Hogan, you got a huge group of freshmen, 9 of them. I would think that would make practices a lot different at the early stage this year than any of your previous 2 years. What have you liked? How has the gelling and the meshing been so far?
The first 2 or 3 days, we watched the freshmen, and I would tell my assistant Gus, I said, maybe we missed on a couple of these guys because they didn't look all that good early. And then, like one day, they were less nervous. They were more confident. They got used to playing with each other and the other teammates, and they've fit completely right in right now. When I was at Columbia College, my best teams, we had one team that had 12 freshmen, and they ended up 12 seniors. We won 20 games that year. So the trick is keeping this group together until they graduate, and then we'll be pretty good by then.
Do you go through the schedule and mark wins and losses? Some coaches do that. Do you do that?
Not as much here than other schools because, the way our conference is set up, we're not a really good match for some of the teams in our conference. There's a lot of teams that are majority international. That means that they're from Spain and England and wherever, and a lot of those guys are in their early 20s, and it's hard to put W's next to all of those conference teams. But I think we have some games early that are winnable for us. It's just it was the same last year. We had games early that we could have won and didn't. So I think we had the same thing this year, but we need to win some of those games.
You had an early scrimmage and it kind of knocked the butterflies out scrimmage late last week against Lewis and Clark.
Yeah.
Generically, kind of what did you see? Did you get what you needed out of an event like that?
Yeah, we go into these preseason events just trying to see things. And with the freshmen, they all come in as, I'm a right back, I'm a center mid, I'm a center back. And I see some of those guys differently. And we were able to play some of those players who were predominantly a certain position in high school. We played them at different positions, and they did quite well there. And we were able to see all the new guys, and we were able to see the returning players, and we were able to see how the two groups. I mean, we're almost like 9 and 9. 9 new players, 9 returning players. And that's the way we split things up the first week. But now we're starting to come together where there's, 7 returners with 4 new guys. So we're starting to bring the two groups together.
I was going to ask you about that because you hear so much of that in Major League Baseball, what the environment in a clubhouse, right? There's going to be rookies, but then you need that kind of veteran guy or 2 guys or a guy that's kind of been through the rigors and knows kind of how things operate. You got 2 really good ones that are going to get a lot of the hype in the pub, and Jacob and Grant Woodard. Talk about that connection between that group of the other 9, the veteran guys, the returners, and the freshmen. Do you see the interaction, the leadership that you're needing to see from the veteran guys?
I think Grant and Jacob, they're leaders by example. They're not, making the pre-game speech and getting everybody fired up. But when you see him on the field, it's like, Jake had a good, solid contact with one of our freshmen, and it was like Jake just welcomed that kid to college soccer. And those young guys, they know, they read up, they've been on the website, they know who the players are. But for those guys like Owen is a returner, Carter, Mitch, those guys we recruited to help them be successful. it was part two things. We told the returners, we're going to bring help. We're going to bring you help. And we told the new guys, you're going to have a chance to contribute right away here. And it's proven true.
Game 1 against Evangel coming up to open the season this weekend. How much scouting do you do? I mean, you can scout all you want for game 1 because it's game 1, but once the season kind of gets rolling, are you a big scout, watching film kind of guy?
You know, I'm not, because these teams in college, they change game to game. And, you know, sometimes we play Tuesday, we play Saturday, we play Wednesday, we play Friday, and there's not enough time to sit down and you know, because of the size of the field in soccer, it's hard to, in basketball and volleyball, you can see what's going on in a small area. This guy could do this guy could do that. Video on a soccer field, and some of the video with soccer games is not that good to begin with because it's shot from a distance and that. So we concentrate more on our group than the opponent. You know, what are we going to do better for us? But we know who the goal scorer is. We know who their top players are, but we're not sitting down with the team watching scout video on our opponents.
Even if it's not wins and losses, you've got to come into a new season with goals. Do you have goals that you talk to the guys about, and what are they for this year?
Yeah, you know, we haven't sat down and goal set it yet, but on the top of everybody's list is make the conference tournament. And that's goal number 1. And then once you get in the conference, this group hasn't been in the conference tournament, but maybe once during the COVID year. And so we don't have a lot of conference tournament experience coming into the season. But we do goal set. We goal set, you know, guys want to be 500. They want to be certain things. For me, I want to get better every day, and I want to make it to the conference tournament.
Looking forward to it. Appreciate it.
Yeah,
man.
me
Good
too.
luck.
I can't wait. Yeah.
Dan Hogan,
Thank you.
UHSP soccer head coach. Greg Taddis, assistant sports information director. Season kicks off for the Eutectics coming up on Saturday.